In most cases, when you compromise the system, you're going to gain access as a user that has restricted or limited permissions. Keep in mind that when applications run, they always run within the context of a user, meaning there is a user that is running that application, even though it may not be an interactive user like you, for example, or me. There is a user to provide a security context, meaning a set of permissions. So when you compromise an application and gain access to it, as we've been doing here using Metasploit, you're going to gain access as the user that that application is running as, and you may, as I say, get limited permission. So what we need to do is we need to elevate or escalate our privileges so that we can do something useful on the system. Or at least if we were an attacker, that's what we would want to do. And so, as security testers, we need to be able to do the same thing so that we can demonstrate where there are vulnerabilities. I'm going to show you a couple of different ways in order to do this. And we're going to get into MSF console again. So, the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the Windows system. And this is the Windows system that we had used before. And so I'm going to make use of the Net API again. So I need to set my R host again to 192.168.86.69. And then I'm going to set my L host to be 192.168.86.22. And then I am going to exploit the target, and I should get a interpreter shell back. And once I get the interpreter shell back, I can show you one way of doing this. Right here, you can see get system will attempt to elevate your privilege to that of the local system. In this particular case, I am actually the local system because that's the user that this particular service is running as. But we can certainly run get system. And this says we got system via technique number 1, which is named pipe impersonation. Another way of doing this is to use a second vulnerability. I'm going to make use of the distcc vulnerability that we had looked at before, and I'm going to use that to target the Linux system. So we're going to use that. Then what I need to do is I need to set my R host again to be 192.168.86.68. And then I'm going to set my L host to be 192.168.86.22. And then what I can do is I can just run exploit. Now I've got a command shell open. I need to grab the exploit that I have compiled already. What you may notice here is we're not getting any responses back from the operating system. It feels a little bit like we are doing this blind, but I can assure you that if we were to actually have a problem, we would get an error. And so if I don't get any response at all, I'm going to be okay because it just means that it was acceptable. So I'm going to use this shell script. I forgot to redirect the output into the file that I need to put that into. So we just got the echo back. And I need to do the double greater than because I'm appending. If I were to just do a single greater than as I did the first time, I would be creating the file. So I'm going to append to /temp/run. And now what I need to do over here is in the second window, I need to listen for the reverse connection that's coming back. Because I didn't specify UDP, I'm listening for TCP connections on port 3377, which is the port that I said I was going to use there. There are a couple of ways to go about what I am about to do here. This is one way. I need to find the process ID for the udevd process. I am going to now say ./exp, which is going to be the exploit program that I had downloaded. And we're going to say 2686 because we're going to go one less than the process ID. And this is going to now exploit the udevd binary or the process that's running. And I need to make sure that it is executable first. And now I can say ./exp 86. And now I've got a connection here, and all I've got to do is say ID, and I can say uname, and you can see that we are in the Metasploitable system. So I've used this second exploit to exploit the vulnerability that's in the udev daemon. That calls the /temp/run script, and that fires a Netcat session back over to my system here with a root shell. So you can see we've got a couple of different ways of doing privilege escalation. One of them being if you've got a Windows box, you can try to just get system. Another way is you can chain exploits together as we did right here.